Do you know what happened in your birth month? I'm assuming that you don't. Most of us don't because we hadn't developed a memory yet. But it is a very important month in history, both ending things that happened before it as well as changing things that happened after it. Specifically, we're going to talk about my birth month, September of 1996, and why it was important. In this month, there were a lot of world leaders active. Bill Clinton was very active in signing the Nuclear Testing and Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. He was the first to sign. He signed on September 24th. This was an extremely significant treaty because three presidents before had tried to sign this treaty. It was important because it eliminated explosion testing from being possible, and 5 other countries the same day signed the treaty. At the time, those 5 countries were the only countries with nuclear weapon capacity. And the following day, Israel, the closest country to developing those, or what was assumed to be the closest country, also signed the treaty. The vote was 158-3, which of course is championed as a major historic event because of Bill Clinton's success, despite the fact that 3 other presidents had tried to sign the same treaty or similar treaties. Other world leaders that were active at the time were the Taliban. They were beginning to gain control in Afghanistan. After years of fighting and years of shooting rockets at the city of Kabul, they finally were gaining traction in September. Kabul actually fell to the hands of the Taliban. In response to this, they killed Bernardine Rabbani, who was the former president who had attempted multiple times to stop them with violence. They killed him in the city, and then they also executed Mohammad Najibullah in the city. He was hung. He was the current president of Afghanistan. So this is clearly a very important event. There were years of attacks that happened beforehand, as was mentioned. There were specifically 9 months of shooting rockets at Kabul that were the antecedents of the actual capture. Moving on to something a little bit lighter, there was a big surge in Latin music and the popularity in the United States. Specifically, the Macarena topped the U.S. charts at the time. This is not significant to September of 1996, but it was true of September 1996 because the reason it's not significant is because it was on the tops of the U.S. charts for 14 consecutive months, which is actually the current record. The Macarena is it's named after a neighborhood in Seville, Spain, and it's about an unfaithful lady to a recent draftee. Other songs that were popular at the time were Que Pena Me Das by Marco Antonio Solis and No Llores Por Mí by Enrique Iglesias. All of these songs have very sad undertones, which I thought was an interesting topic. Another important thing that happened in the entertainment world in September of 1996, was the Nintendo 64 debuted. This was a 3-month delay from Japan. And of course, this is a revolutionary system for video games that has been tried to be emulated since. And most games are based off of what was released with that Nintendo 64. It was worth $199 upon release. And Super Mario 64 was the #1 game that was released. It won all of the awards and was released with the Nintendo 64 in September. Another event that happened that was important was the Space Shuttle STS-76 was launched. This shuttle, the purpose was it was the 76th launching that NASA held that year, and its purpose was to go provide relief to the International Space Station. It was both launched and landed in September, 10 days after it was launched. So there were many events that happened in September of 1996 that both changed the landscape beforehand and changed the landscape that was to come. It was marked by a lot of world leaders that were extremely active during the time, both positive and negative, and there were a lot of entertainment developments that also changed the past and marked change for the future. It was an important month for many reasons.